23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, therefore can I lack nothing. He will make me lie down in green pastures and lead me beside still waters. He will refresh my soul and guide me in right pathways for his name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You spread a table before me in the face of those who trouble me. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup shall be full. Surely your goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And now, may the words of my lips and the thoughts of each one of us be acceptable to you, Lord God, now and always. Amen. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. When the psalmist writes at the beginning of Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, it is not a simple reflection about how God tends and cares for us. In the ancient Near East, shepherd was one of the words used for a king. There were others, of course: father, warrior, sage, and all of these are found in Mesopotamian texts from a millennium before the Bible began to be written. So the psalmist writes of the nature of his allegiance, that he is not ultimately tied to a king, but to God. As a Psalm of David, it is a confronting statement that David does not see Saul as his king. God is the one to whom he owes his allegiance. So the beginning of the psalm is a declaration of independence from human rule and a commitment to God's will. The psalm continues as a lyrical poem, considering how the image of a shepherd applies to God. This is God caring, providing, keeping safe, defeating the enemies of life. If the psalm begins as a public declaration that the psalmist owes allegiance to God and not to a human being, it becomes something else halfway through. In the first few lines, God is described objectively. The Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down. He restores my soul. It's about him. It's about God, objectively. Yet when it comes to the darkest place, in the darkest time, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the focus of the psalm changes. The psalmist declares, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The writer has moved from the objective he to the relational you. You are with me. You set a table for me. This is the power of the psalm. This is David writing his song. Even when he tries to describe God objectively, David cannot avoid turning it into a prayer to God, celebrating relationship, luxuriating in the comfort, the safety and the love of God. This is a compelling image. When asked, who do you trust? Who keeps you safe? The psalmist speaks with the heart, a heart so filled that the song turns to the centre, to God. The Lord is my shepherd, and all that means. Outside the diocesan centre of the Catholic Diocese of Greensburg in Pennsylvania, there is a stunning sculpture depicting Jesus, the Good Shepherd. The figures are larger than life, 8 foot tall, and it covers an area of about 10 metres from one end to the other. There are, within the sculpture, 3 points of focus. At one end, there's a group of 3 men in a state of agitation, almost fear. In the centre is Jesus being followed by a ewe. Jesus has a small lamb wrapped into the front of his coat. At the other end is a fierce wolf confronting the other figures. The three figures at one end are the shepherds of the Old Testament. There's Abel, the very first shepherd. Moses, who led the people to the promised land, and David, the shepherd who became king. All three are significant characters in the Old Testament, all shepherds, yet they hang back, keeping a distance between them and Jesus, and as far as possible from the wolf. The wolf blocks the way and stands with teeth bared and hackles raised as Jesus approaches. The sculptor, John Collier, has said that he felt simple images of shepherds and even Jesus as the good shepherd did not tell the whole story. He knew he had to include the wolf. After all, he explained, if you don't have the wolves, you don't need shepherds. The face of Jesus is worn and tired. It's the kind of face you see in portrayals of the crucifixion, tired and worn, and yet the figure appears to be moving forward, protecting all behind him, keeping the lamb close to his heart, intent on confronting the wolf, a snarling presence of evil and death. Collier's work is a dramatic and somewhat darker version of the 23rd Psalm. There is no delightful feast here yet. The table is, in this moment, being set. The shepherds of the Old Testament cower before death. Jesus stands and confronts that which cannot be confronted in any other way. Collier's Good Shepherd is the figure on the cross in the very moment of facing death. The Good Shepherd then becomes an image of the resurrection life, with death confronted. It is the Good Shepherd who stands between us and the wolf, and in that moment vanquishes death. The fear that held back Abel, Moses, and David could not be opposed by them. They needed the Good Shepherd, the one who would lay down his life for the sheep. This is the shepherd we look to, not an attractive bucolic image of mobs of sheep across the Australian paddocks with shepherds on horseback, nor even ancient Israelites, shepherds sleeping with their sheep, but a shepherd walking into the eye of the storm, confronting the worst that can be, giving everything that we all might live. Our Good Shepherd, who holds us, who moves our heart, is the one who, to even talk about, is an action of turning to God. It is this Good Shepherd we celebrate this day, the Good Shepherd of life and hope. In the name of Christ, amen.